Hello there, you are listening to The Screen Queen, where you'll be finding your favorite movie or your favorite television show and learning something new. You'll just have to listen to find out. Here is your host, Samantha Parrish.
Hello there and welcome back to the show. As always, and last time I checked, my name is Samantha Parrish and you are listening to The Screen Queen. Welcome back for the third year of the Christmas series. If someone were to tell me that Drew Barrymore and The Simpsons had something in common, I would never guess that answer was all of the other reindeer. So this is actually one of my all-time favorite original Christmas specials. I chased this down, no pun intended, to watch it every year on Cartoon Network. I don't hear a lot about all of the other reindeer, but whenever I mention it to my friends, they're like, oh yeah, I remember that. So it lives on as like a time capsule, but it's strong enough to be remembered even if it's not talked about. I still don't see a whole lot of like DVD releases. I don't see a lot of reruns. It just kind of lives in the hearts of many millennials. So I kind of want to give it a little bit more of an to kind of bring it into the next generations. So I try to make it a habit to get all of the other reindeer with my Christmas specials that I play every year. But even on the times that I don't end up watching this special has still lived in my head rent-free. Like, it doesn't even have to be Christmas for me to think about all of the other reindeer. That's just how good it is. Even watching it recently, I could truly feel how kind-spirited that it was. And I've seen so many Christmas specials over the years that can be too sweet or they can be too commercialized. And this is one that kind of hits all of the cards, but does it the way that you'd want to see for a Christmas special, where you do feel the meaning of Christmas is represented. Even though this is literally a story about a dog that just wants to be a reindeer for the sake of saving Christmas, it's a cute story that also has equally strong morals. Even after all these years and watching it with an adult perspective, it never once felt shallow. It just feels like a good time, and now I get to talk about it on my show. So here we go. This is All of the Other Reindeer. So I found out that All of the Other Reindeer has a very interesting history with The Simpsons, which I'll get into later on. But before this got into the hands of Matt Groening, this was a book written by J. Otto Siebold. And it was later adapted and made into a movie. And I have not gotten my hands on the book, but still, it's kind of a valiant effort. It's not every day you can say the guy who made The Simpsons created my story for television. So now that I've introduced where All of the Other Reindeer comes from, I feel like it's time to give a proper introduction to Olive herself, about what the plot is about. I've kind of done a little bit, but I'm going to give Olive her proper dues. So All of the Other Reindeer is about a dog named Olive that doesn't really do a lot of dog things, but that doesn't stop her from enjoying life. And the one thing she loves is Christmas. She hears on the radio that Santa is going to have to cancel Christmas due to one of the reindeers having an injury. And without all of the reindeers, there's not going to be a Christmas. So he just says, I'll just do it with all of the other reindeer. But Olive's flea, yes, Olive has a flea, says, oh, did you hear that? He said all of the other reindeer, and she's like, actually, I think he meant all of, but he's like, hang on a second here. You don't act like a dog. You love Christmas. This is your time. And she's like, all right, that sounds good. So she heads off to the North Pole to go help Santa pull the sleigh. However, there is a problem, and that problem comes into the shape and form of a postman, known only as the Postman, that's trying to stop Olive because this man does not want to have Christmas. He was looking at a big break, and this dog is in the way of it all. It's a little bit funny considering that does not stop the post office from being busy, but whatever. That's what the plot demands. Even after the years of watching this movie, it is still just as cute as I remember it. The thing I like about all of the other reindeer is that it's simple, but it's not so simple it's stupid. This film does a very good job about not trying to just throw cute things and expect a lot of people to love it. Like, this has some good writing behind it. It could have been so easy just to make this a simple story. But with the amount of Christmas references in here that is done so majestically that it should be illegal to be that funny. But then again, this is from someone who created The Simpsons, so that does make sense why it's so funny. However, it's not too funny to the point that it dismisses the story. If you really look at this, this is one of those stories that didn't need to go so hard, but it did. No one is sleepwalking in their performances. The songs are very well made, and the character of Olive is honestly amazing. I love how Olive is a good, optimistic character without being toxic about it. You could easily make Olive into a character that's like, oh, I don't know how it's going to be done, but it's just going to be done. And no questions about it. Like, Olive knows this is going to be a tough road ahead and still sticks to optimism no matter what, doesn't dismiss feelings and call someone out on their bullshit. Olive is the kind of the epitome of a character that you want to believe in and that you want to root for. Or should I say, howl for. And I have to admit, Drew Barrymore does a very good job bringing Olive to life. She had a major part to play in this production, and you'll find out much later on in the episode. But even though she's not my favorite actress, I like her in some stuff, and the girls had her fair share of controversies, but then I'm reminded that she did this, and I can tell she put her whole heart into this, and it makes me wonder if she still thinks about the special that she did. It is truly one of my favorite things that she's ever done, and it's a Christmas special. But I also love the speech that she delivers about Christmas. It might just be my favorite speech in any Christmas movie. But I feel that Olive truly gave a speech that does express what Christmas is about. That you do give on to others, but that you shouldn't dismiss those that do like Christmas. And the way she does it is not to be cruel, but just to be informative. Every way that she goes about the situation, I never felt that she once went too far. These are people that are being cynical towards her, and she doesn't fight back with the same cynicism. She really does call people out in still a polite way, which shows a lot about her character being mature. Again, this is supposed to be a simple story, but it has like the best writing behind it you can't help but look at. You don't have too many characters that actually have the true essence of Christmas. We always say the eternal question, what is Christmas all about? And it's about giving to others. Well, it's also about people or dogs, like Olive saying, hey, you can't be acting like this. Christmas or not, that's not how this works. But even if you're going to act like this, how do you expect to have a Christmas then? It could have been so easy to make Olive just a shallow character that's like Christmas because Christmas, but no, this is a character that truly does understand the meaning of it. I like hardworking characters like Olive, and you don't really see too many of those in a lot of Christmas specials, especially for kids. It's just one of those specials that ages so well. Like, this is almost like the equivalent of like a bottle of wine that the older this special gets, the better it gets. And that's, kind of rare to say. But technically, this film is actually made as a joke. The whole story is a mondogram, which I don't know if anyone's ever heard of what that term is called. I literally just learned this, but it's a misheard or spoonerized or comically misinterpreted phrase of a song or poem, kind of like there's a joke about the Rolling Stones song, like, I'll never be your beast of burden, but it also sounds like I'll never leave your pizza burden. So it's like that kind of accidental comedy that happens. So all of the other reindeer all of the other reindeer, but it doesn't just stop at Olive. There's another character named Richard Stands, which is a play on For Which It Stands from the Pledge of Allegiance. There's also another character named Round John Virgin, based on the phrase Round Yon Virgin from Silent Night. It's almost funnier getting the jokes that almost builds this like into something even more special, kind of knowing that people just had fun with this. To make a whole story and you get to just have fun with the characters, you're doing something right. But I have to say, learning about how all of the other reindeer was put into production is almost as fun as the actual special. So originally, Matt Groening got Drew Barrymore to play Krusty's daughter. But before that ever happened, he asked if she would express interest in playing a dog named Olive for a Christmas special, and she was like, that sounds great, I'm in. Funny enough, all of the other reindeer aired before she would go on to The Simpsons. Many people within this special are also in the episode Insane Clown Poppy. Drew Barrymore plays Sophie, like I just mentioned. Jay Moore, who voices Tim from the special, is also a voice within Insane Clown Poppy. If you look it up on Wikipedia, it is wild. There is not one mention for the fact that, ironically, many of this cast have had something to do on all of the other reindeer, but that just blows my mind. But I also did read something that Drew Barrymore and Matt Groening, they had some very vastly different creative differences. And for the life of me, I try to find it. I know I read it somewhere, either in IMDb or some other place. So I just kind of going off from what I can confirm on top of my head, but that's also something out there in the internet grapevines to look at for some insane lore regarding The Simpsons and its ties to this special. But it also doesn't end there for the Simpson references. The postman is voiced by Dan Castellaneta, Homer Simpson. When I became a movie buff and I found that out, it didn't take long to put the pieces together, oh yeah, that makes sense. Not even hearing the special, I could still be like, oh yeah, I can definitely hear Homer Simpson without a doubt. Putting in the special, right now, I could easily hear it. There's so many, Homerisms that I can get from the Postman. And I kind of love the fact that this is kind of another way to still utilize Dan Castellaneta without it being Homer Simpson, but it still is Homer Simpson, so it's kind of like it cancels and then uncancels itself. It's kind of a weird, beautiful mess. But it gets better than that. I found out that Dan Castellaneta based his performance off of Vincent Price, and I'm like, that's just kind of perfect. Having a villain based off Vincent Price that's voiced by Homer Simpson is just kind of like comedy gold. You don't get that too many times. But it doesn't even end there for the Simpson references. In the scene where Olive meets the postman, and he goes into his song Ba, Bug, and Hum, which is not the best song, but it's also Dan Castellaneta at Comedy Gold, so it's it exists. But when the mail starts to fall during the sequence, if you look close enough, all of the letters are addressed to Bart Simpson. When I showed this to my friend Jenna over the weekend, we paused at just the right moment and she's like, oh, look, there's Bart. So even in a completely different piece of media, Dan Castellaneta is still playing a character that gets screwed over by Bart Simpson. He found a way. But believe me when I say, it gets better. The Simpsons only makes up 1/3 of the references. The other creative ways that this film had to represent Christmas and other media, is amazing. So there's a part in the film where the characters are in a bus depot and there's arrivals and departures. For arrivals, it says Bethlehem, Christianity, Ganges River, Hinduism, Jerusalem, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, etc., all around the board. The departures say Mecca for Islam, Salt Lake City for Mormonism, and this has been speculated that when they put Los Angeles down, it's supposed to be a reference to Scientology. Like, it's kind of funny. I think it might be the only time I'm ever going to see Scientology possibly referenced in a Christmas movie. But there's another reference that I feel like also needs to have some kind of mention here. When they're traveling to Arctic Junction, they pass by a sign that says Frostbite Falls, next exit. Frostbite Falls is the fictional home of Rocky and Bullwinkle. I don't think you're ever going to find another Christmas special that's able to reference Rocky and Bullwinkle while also referencing The Simpsons and Christmas stuff. Like, that's fun all on the board, man. But I have the funniest piece of information for anyone who likes the movie Elf. Edward Asner is the voice of Santa Claus. He played Santa first in all of the other reindeer before he was Santa in Elf. So when you watch Elf this year, no, that's the second time that he's played Santa. That's kind of beautiful, but also I feel it's a very underrated piece of media. I miss Edward Asner. He was a amazing actor all around the board. I love the work that he did, but finding out that he had a part to play in one of my favorite Christmas specials, now it just makes it 10 times more special. But it also makes me miss him a hella more because we're not going to get another Edward Asner. He was the greatest, and he was severely underrated as a voice actor. He was in the series Freakazoid, where he played the officer that was not the brightest, but he was just there. And no matter what he was asked, they're like, well, how do you want me to do it? And they're like, that, just do that. And he's like, all right, like, that's the kind of attitude he brought. And I just kind of had to gush about that. But it gets even better. This is just the gift that keeps on giving in this episode. One of my favorite parts of the movie is where the character Schnitzel, the cousin of Blitzen, yeah, that's a thing they made up for this movie, he sings a song called We're Not So Bad. And I just gotta say, even though this is a special under an hour, all the songs they put in here have no right to slap that hard. And I'm listening to the song like, okay, I know I've definitely heard that voice before. I have to be hearing things if I'm hearing something. The guy who voices Blitzen is the lead singer of REM. And I'm like, now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. Like, I love it when high-profile musicians or actors will take part into small specials, because then when you find it out, it's like, what? You were in that? Like, this is a cool moment to share. I'm not the biggest REM fan, but I like their songs enough to, like, remember it and to know that my entire childhood I've been listening to REM every Christmas. Like, that feels a little bit weird, but I'm okay with it. But it doesn't even end there, listeners. I had no proper segue for this, but I would never forgive myself if I didn't tell you guys that Cypher from The Matrix, Joe Pantoliano, is the voice of Martini the Penguin. And after watching U.S. Marshals and The Fugitive, I'm like, yeah, that's definitely Cosmo, for sure. But the fact that he's mostly known as Cypher from The Matrix, but this was also the same year that The Matrix came out, so keep in mind, this man voiced a penguin and a Matrix villain in the same year. Fucking wild. That can't be said too many times about how an actor will go into a Christmas special, even if they're not known for it, but they still had a participation that stood the test of time, and that's gotta count for something. But also, too, I love the way that Martini is almost like a perfect foil to Olive, and the way that Joe Pantoliano gives him just the right amount of sass without being an asshole about it. Throughout the special, I do feel that Martini is getting some good influence off of Olive. He was a con artist penguin that couldn't cut it as a penguin, working with the dog that doesn't exactly cut it as a dog. So they're kind of like kindred spirits since they don't belong in their respected places. I really do like that he's a character that's kind of on a redemption in a way without being on a redemption. He's still sassy, but he's learned to be a kind of person. Penguin, I have to remember these are animals I'm talking about. You really do get the gist that Martini does have some of the Christmas spirit rub off on someone like Olive being a good influence. It's kind of like Zootopia before Zootopia was a thing. I feel like this whole episode is just comprising mostly of references, but I feel like that's the way that this whole story is written, is to make some fun references, but then also not take the writing too seriously, which leads me to my next point, is how the conflicts are resolved by a literal deus ex machina. So when Olive is captured by the postman again, there's a package addressed to her that says, from Deus Ex Machina. And if you know what Deus Ex Machina means, then that means Olive just found the perfect way to escape. Like, literally, a plot device got her out. That is so stupidly simple, it's beautiful, and it hurts at the same time. I can't argue with a story that's willing to go so simple that it works so well that I can't argue with it. That's writing done well. And this is for kids, so like the fact that they made it make sense to an adult perspective to make a laugh, that's even better. I love how this is a story that clearly is taking many creative inspirations from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer without being Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Like, Olive is a unique character enough with enough personality to be completely different than Rudolph, because let's face it, Rudolph was kind of whiny. Olive is an optimist. I'm gonna be voting for Olive to be the permanent reindeer, man. She's exactly what they need. But I love the fact that even when it has the audacity to go ahead and mention Rudolph, like, let's get it out of the way, that the other reindeers still trash on Rudolph, just like the song and how it goes when the reindeers won't let him play any reindeer games. Like, well, also maybe because Rudolph was way too fucking whiny. But Olive had to do to step up to the plate. She came here like, hey, I know you guys probably said all of the other reindeer, but I want to help because I want Christmas. So she has a lot of self-aware in her to know she could be going here knowing she heard the wrong thing, but she loves Christmas enough to do the right thing. No one else is stepping up to the plate except this dog that doesn't even act like a dog. I don't know, Olive's just a unique character that doesn't get talked about enough. But you're never really gonna see another way to make fun of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and make reference to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer without being Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I think the best thing about the special is that it is a Christmas special, but it doesn't feel oversensitized like a Christmas special. I just mentioned they made like a bunch of religious references just to have fun with it, not just to make it a reference to Christmas because they referenced other religions, but even the way that they poured in other references, it kind of makes it like a bit of a palate cleanser that if you're looking for something to watch that's Christmas without having to be overdosed in it, this is kind of like a nice palate cleanser. You get to have the idea of Christmas said in a good way, presented in a good way, but then you have a Homer Simpson level of humor, and the music is really good. This is like kind of the jack of all trades when it comes to a Christmas movie. It's like when you watch Die Hard. You get to have something that still has Christmas around it, but you also get to watch John McClane kick so much ass. I love a Christmas movie that is willing to be something different and the same at the same time, if that makes any sense. We don't get too many specials like all of the other reindeer that has a good message with characters that don't feel shallow, humor that doesn't feel too dry, something that makes you believe in Christmas even if you don't want to believe in Christmas right now. It's not trying to be the perfect Christmas movie. It just is a Christmas movie. And I like how it exists as just a Christmas movie that you can enjoy no matter what you want from it. I don't know what else to say, but if you're looking at something to bark about, this is definitely the movie. And yes, I'm going out on that note. So that's going to be a wrap on all of the other reindeer. I wish I had more to talk about, but this film is just kind of so simple, but so beautifully simple that it doesn't need much to talk about. It's just one of those films you have to experience. It is available on YouTube for free if you would like to watch this beautiful, weirdly animated masterpiece from Matt Groening. Please, by all means, go watch it. But it's also so simple and so short that I'd be basically giving away the entire thing. But this was fun. I really enjoyed talking about one of my favorite Christmas specials. So now is the time to find out what the second episode is going to be on the Christmas series. I have since added some suggestions, so we're going to see how the stakes are raised. Alrighty. Right, let's spin it. Okay, that's enough. What are you? Tell me your secrets. What's going on here? Okay, alright. I can dip into that one. That sounds great. So the next episode on the Christmas series is going to be Jack Frost. And I'm going to let you guys find out which version it's going to be, because there are two of them. I think. I hope. Let's hope. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Even though this is a show that's kind of under the radar, I still love that I get reached out to, that people let me know what their favorite episodes were. My friends still tell me that they listen to new episodes, and that keeps me going. It means a lot to me. I don't want to babble too much because I want to wrap up this episode. If you want to find me on my Instagram, you can chat me up on... If you want to hit me up on Instagram in between uploads, you can find me on my Instagram at the Queen of the Screen. And as always, I like to advertise my book series, Inglorious Ink, my other Pride and Joy besides this Pride and Joy. You can find the series on Amazon, but I have the link for that in the description box. Alrighty, you all take care now. Stay amazing. Remember that we're not so bad. And I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday season. This is your Screen Queen, signing off. Bye-bye!